Concrete.
The Basalt Town Council meeting. We just finished a joint meeting that has not happened before with the Basalt Town Council, the Eagle County Commissioners, and the Pickens County Commissioners. We talked about all important things and it went very well. It was unusual and wonderful. Why don't we call this meeting to order at 6:02? Let's start with Rudy Brown.
Here.
Herschel Ross.
Here.
Rick Stevens.
Here.
Mark Hill.
Here.
Rob Lennox.
Yes.
Becky Whitsick. Here. Gary Tindall.
Here.
18's present. Excellent.
Oh, this early in the evening?
Yeah, save it. Okay, first of all, I would like to thank Grassroots for broadcasting our meetings live and rebroadcasting our meetings on www.grassrootstv.org. And also to remind everybody that there is a mayor's coffee with the mayor tomorrow at Saxy's at 8 o'clock in the morning. Every time we have a meeting, we then have a mayor's coffee. So, on the consent agenda, we have minutes, a couple of special event activities permits. Is there a motion or request to take something off?
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great. Next item is council reports, comments, disclosures, anything?
Anything?
Anything like, yes, sir?
A week from today, June 2nd, no cooking at home. Because the Western Slope Veterans Coalition has organized, I think Andy was here a few weeks back and made a pitch. They've lined up restaurants all the way from Aspen to Glenwood that if you just dine out, it's called dining out for vets. Your bill is exactly the same, but 10 to 20% of their proceeds from all day goes to the Western Slope Veterans Coalition Emergency Fund for vets who need help medically with their rent, whatever. And it's a pretty impressive gathering of restaurants, and I'm proud to say that here in Basalt, we have several that are doing this for the veterans, including Cafe Bernard, Brick Pony Pub, Heather's, Down Valley Tavern, and Smoke. Yeah. So just go where you would normally go out, any one of those. If you happen to be in Aspen, they're up there all the way down to Glenwood. There's a long list. You can go and see a poster, or they also have a website for the Western Slope Veterans Coalition. But it's a really painless way to actually raise a fair amount of money for them. There's also a fundraising dinner at a La Hosteria in Aspen, also that night, that Tuesday night. And I have to give a plug to La Hosteria because the entire proceeds of buying your ticket were going to the veterans. They're basically buying us all dinner.
Wow, awesome. And so that is a week from today.
Today, June 2nd. Lunch, dinner, wherever, dine out.
Great, thanks, Herschel, good one. Rob?
Mr. Kittle?
I just wanted to,
I'll go next.
Okay.
I wanted to say that I was up at the cemetery on Sunday, and it looks really good up there. The gopher population seems to be quelled somewhat, but the sign, the directory, is in bad shape, and it's falling apart. I thought maybe I see everybody writing that down, so hopefully someone. That's all I have.
They're not really writing, no. Yeah.
I walked the path along the river yesterday, and it's lovely, and I encourage you guys all to check it out. It's a neat way to see the river and look back across the town, and I encourage everybody up there to do the same thing. It's nice to see, to get to use it a little bit.
Absolutely. Fun. Bernie?
As for Mike and Susan, I heard something to the effect that Chris Touchette has been hired by the town to do some planning. I just wonder if you could elaborate on that.
Sure. We used Chris when we did that map. And one of the things that we worked with Chris on is that he's on the P&Z. And one of our concerns was you can't work for P&Z, the town, CCY, the developer, and all these things, and be represented on all of them. So he can only have one boss, And so right now, he's working for the town with the map, because CCY actually has the base map that we've been using. And then he's on a short-term sabbatical from the planning commission, so he will not be participating with the planning commission during any of this. He's just doing maps that we can show to the P&Z, with the P&Z giving him direction on what to include and exclude on the maps. So we're using what he built with Lowe's, those base maps, to do the next set of maps.
Is he also still working for Lowe's as contractor?
Not at this time.
How long is that contract?
Until we get to the end of the P&Z portion, which is sort of the three or four options that they're trying to develop for how buildings will be placed on the combined parcels. So understanding that there's a CDC parcel and a town parcel and a road.
Is there that much work?
Quite a bit. Because we started out, I want to say, with 12 or 13 that we took to the P&Z in terms of potential configurations, and I think they've decided on three or four that he's working on right now.
Thanks.
Rick?
Well, I went to Ace Lane's open house, had a nice few slices of barbecue beef, and walked around, and actually it makes a lot more sense for me, not the project necessarily, but the fact that I went over there and looked at it and got a feel for it. Susan was there. You know, and sometimes it's maybe we go look at something and before we judge it and get too carried away with referral comments and stuff like that. So I don't have an opinion one way or the other. It's but it was interesting. A lot of people there. Also, I think mud season's been extended somehow, and I know there's a lot of activity across the street and across the river. And you know, this Memorial Day weekend, it wasn't really looking very good for a holiday weekend over there, and I think we'd step that up a little bit. I'm concerned when we put these vendors in the parking spaces over here, and I'm hearing rumors that Butch is coming back.
We have that as an agenda item.
Okay. It didn't identify him specifically in there though, so. But I wouldn't want to go there and sit and eat and have coughing fits from inhaling dust, so somehow we gotta stabilize that area or something, or put some screening on the fence. The rafter bus is going through there at sunset. It's quite spectacular. It's a nice rosy hue of the sky. So, as long as we're gonna keep on that kind of activity in downtown, we need to just shape them up a little bit.
Anybody else? Okey dokey. Are there any citizens that would like to make comments for items that are not on the agenda? Not on the agenda. Yes, sir. Could you say your name and
Either way.
any place you want?
My name is Rob Holmes. My partner and I, Pete Tram, are with Roots RX here in Basalt, which is a recreational cannabis store. And it's just really kind of a two-page letter.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you at all.
I'm sorry. I'm mumbling, I guess. My name is Rob Holmes, and I'm here with my partner, Pete Tram. And we own Roots RX, which is a recreational cannabis store right over on 165 Southside Drive in Basalt. And what we would like to suggest to add to the agenda, we were in here several weeks ago talking about how much we liked, you know, the time that the state put into trying to figure out what rules and regulations would be appropriate, you know, for this business. And the state also then defers to the local municipality in terms of what they want to do with boundaries and hours of operation, et cetera. We've been in operation since right around Thanksgiving. And, you know, one of the things that we would like to propose that the town consider would be to allow us to be open on Sundays. The state allows local municipalities to select their desired hours of operation. Basalt's hours are 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. and closed on Sundays. And you know, we've taken a look around and we've not found another municipality that is closed on Sundays. And 52 days of business is significant to this business. I think everybody thinks that you can, get really rich in the marijuana business, but we have an investment in this business, and the town of Basalt has an investment in this business. You guys have spent a lot of time and money and legal and staff, trying to get ready for this business, and we're your partners, trying to generate tax dollars. So having 52 more days of sales would be something that would be of great significance to us. The other thing that we talked about the last time I was here is this business is heavily regulated from seed to sale. The plants are radio tagged. They're logged into metrics. There's cameras at every point of sale. You can't enter the premise unless you're 21 years old. It's very heavily regulated business, and we support that and appreciate that. But yet at the same time, what we would like is the ability to be while held at a higher level than alcohol is in terms of sales. We'd like to at least have the same hours of operation. And I took a look at for the state, stores are allowed to be open from 8 a.m. till midnight, and they allow the local municipality figure out what's most appropriate for them. The difficulty we have is 7 p.m. at closing means 6:45 is kind of when we have to shut our doors, because all sales have to be logged by 6:59 per the Marijuana Enforcement Division. So it's really a very short period of time after work or after the ski season for us to get people that are commuting up and down Valley to come into our store. So what we would like is to have operations mirror that of what alcohol is, at least in Basalt. I believe that it's 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. is what's been selected. I didn't see anything, I couldn't find anything that Basalt specifically had hours less than that, because you're allowed to be open until midnight, I believe. And also in this letter to you included some other municipalities in terms of what their hours of operations are, just to let you know you wouldn't be alone. Frisco's 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Idaho Springs is 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Silt's 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Edgewater is 8 a.m. to midnight, etc. So,
Thanks, Mr. Holmes.
thank you for your consideration. Should I pass these out?
Yeah.
There's a bunch of guys.
Thank you. Okay, the next item is Resolution 22 of 2015. Resolution of the town authorizing businesses to vend on public property on the Moreno Park property located at Midland Spur and Two Rivers Road and on nearby parking spaces. Susan.
Okay, so this is the agenda item that we're gonna talk about butches, but I just thought I'd tell you that the reason that this comes to you in this format is that you took a couple actions in 2014 that require the resolution by the town council. The one is that we actually had a town code requirement that said that you could only vend 12 times a year on public property. So we passed a code amendment that said you could vend more than 12 times a year, but you have to have a resolution approved by the town council. So this does that. But the other thing that you did is you passed a resolution, and you said that you really assigned the Downtown Business Association as kind of the clearinghouse for what businesses were going to go on that property. You did that at that time because of some of the controversy that had happened last year when we were picking vendors. So in the resolution, you assigned the BDBA that role of being a clearinghouse. So vendors have to be approved before they come to the town council. So I was assuming that Laura Main was going to be here for this item. She was trying to get a hold of me when we were in our other meeting. And she's not here, but I think the record, the BDBA has a little memo that's in your packet that kind of explains some of the history that was associated with Butch and kind of what the goals of the space are for the BDBA, which really is to provide, I think the overarching thing is vitality. So Laura, you can come on up. I'm just kind of introduced the subject and talked about what was in the packet in terms of all the way up. You're good. And I explained that in their packet they had a little bit of the history of kind of what happened with the site. But the bottom line is that now we we have three vendors that the BDBA is recommending approval for. Essentially, Butch Darden's Lobster Shack for 2/3 of the site, Early Morning Orchard, and Slow Grooving Barbecue, who wants to be on the site for 2 days, and then they would also come during special events. So there's a site plan that's in your packet that kind of outlines the kind of site plan that we're asking the town council to approve. And essentially what we're doing is we're approving a framework that hopefully this doesn't have to come back to the town council for reapproval. There might be some instance that I'll get to in a second that we might need to take it back. So essentially, if you look at your site plan, you'll see that Butch has the 2/3. He has the location that he wants, which is at the corner. And then Slow Grooving Barbecue is on the corner. And then we would put Early Morning Orchard, who was actually the first vendor who made an application, and the first one to be approved by the BDBA, and we would actually put him on those little parking spaces over by the water, the well house. And really the status is that we're approving the Butch Darden site here. We may actually not be able to work out the issues associated with locating them in this location. And one of the issues is that the county health department has put the business on notice that they need to be connected to the sewer line. I've had some I wasn't really brought in on this issue until just recently. I've had a discussion with the environmental health officer, and then Ray Mary tried to give me a call, the director of Eagle County Health tried to give me a call today, but essentially what they're saying is that Butch isn't a mobile operation. He's not like a food truck that takes his waste away and comes back. He's a more fixed operation. So it's their determination that he needs to be hooked up to the sewer. There is a variance procedure, and we'll follow up a little bit more if that's really realistic to try to seek a variance through the state. Initial conversations with the Basalt Sanitation Board, they were actually on notice of this a couple months ago because Lee Leavenworth was kind of working on this, and talked to Christine, but we weren't really talking to the board. We're just talking to staff, and Lee and I were only able to kind of pass messages back and forth. So I tentatively have it on the Basalt Sand District agenda for the 10th, and the question would be, can they reduce or eliminate the hookup fee for this kind of operation? It sounded like they could work with them on the grease trap issue, but the maximum it would cost would be $4,900, and that would be a lot of money. Butch wouldn't be able to pick it up, and it's not really something you could discuss that we'd be kind of willing to take on.
What did he do last year?
I think he took his waste to KOA.
Physically moved the truck.
Correct. He collected it and would take it to KOA.
What's wrong with that?
Well,
It's up to
apparently,
the state, basically, they're saying he needs a permit.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
The state seems to be saying that he needs a permit, that's not acceptable to them,
The state or the county?
the state.
well, it's the county health department, and it's a regulation that, I think it's a state regulation that they're interpreting, so you need to get a state variance. That's how I understood it, and keep in mind, I was just.
Well, they said it wasn't mobile. How's he getting to KOA to dump it then? I don't understand that.
Collected in a tank, Mark,
Yeah, I know what it
and
is.
he would just take it in his truck.
So he seems like it's legal to me, what he's doing.
Well, but we don't get to decide if they decide that he needs it. In effect, it would be a determination that he needs a discharge permit
I would say,
or hooking up to an existing system.
I would say that right now
We don't get to make
We
Okay.
probably don't know quite enough about, is the problem
Okay.
solvable, do we need a variance? And that's why the
Well, we don't
approval,
need anything.
Well, it's a long-term problem if you're planning on using that space for any length of time, you have to put a sewer in there. Because if somebody else comes in and wants to be a, quote, permanent fixture and serve whatever out of a thing with wheels on it, they're gonna be under the same regulation, aren't they? So if Butch's bails and, you
Well,
know,
the
Taco
food-
Johnny comes in here next summer and does the same thing, you have a problem that's just gonna keep coming back.
apparently the
Over and
food, a real mobile food truck, as long as they follow the rules and regulations, are kind of under a different window.
I understand that, but that's not what we're talking about, right?
Yeah, it is.
No, well, whether we make a determination he's mobile or not, doesn't do anything for the problem with, in Eagle County Environmental Health in the state's eyes, because they're considering it a mobile, so you should get shut down by Eagle County. That's who the jurisdiction is that this sanitation goes through. So I guess I'm looking for an answer down the road. If it's $4,900, the cost of putting a service line over there is probably triple or quadruple that. And we making that kind of investment in that property for, you know,
How long?
vitality and, you know, interesting things to do in Basalt. I'm good with it. I mean, you know, I'd put a sewer line over there in a heartbeat and hook them up, you know?
As I understand it, we don't really have a call on this, do we? I mean, this
At
is
the
up to,
present moment,
sorry?
at the present moment, the wastewater issue is not a town issue. So it has to be resolved by and between the Butch and the county, environmental health, and the state.
And that area is involved in the planning, in the master planning at the P and Z. And so this may only be like this summer's problem.
I know. That's why I'm asking the question is, you know, what's the solution? If it could be 5 years too, not next summer. I mean, we thought the taqueria was going.
I don't think we have a call. is
Do
it?
we have a say in this, and if so, what?
Well,
Well, our say would be if we're gonna be the facility.
if there's a determination that a hookup of some kind is necessary to the sewer line, then if Butch doesn't want to pay for it or whatever, then I guess the council could consider whether they want to
Okay.
do
so
something about that.
It will
but-
come back to us when we know the
Yeah.
answer from the state. Okay. Okay, so the actual resolution here is just approving this specific map and uses.
And giving the town manager flexibility to kind of move things around depending on who the vendors are.
Okay.
And Mike needs to be satisfied that all permits have been obtained outside of the town, and we'll have individual lease agreements with each of the vendors.
I think that's a good idea.
Well, I would prefer to say that if you're gonna vend down there, it needs to be a mobile facility, rather than try and bring a sewer line over there. If Butch isn't legal now, then he should make it legal, whatever's wrong with his truck.
Yeah, he can't make it, if that's a requirement that he needs to do that, then it has to come back to you guys, because to make it legal, there has to be, you know, some decisions have to be made about whether there's an easement for a line, who's paying for it, all that
So
stuff.
if they don't grant him this, then it's not legal, it's gonna come back to us and we're gonna say something.
Yes.
Thanks.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve
wait.
Resolution 22. Oh, I'm sorry, that way there already.
Did you
Aurora
did you-
came out tonight
did you
and we
have
haven't
anything
let
to
her say
Laura? Sorry
hello
about
yet.
that.
No, I'm here to answer any questions. I'm representing the BDBA. Richard Rosenfeld was really the point person on this whole process. But he's in Europe. And our objective has always been, as a group, to make it an interesting destination. And we approached the paddleboard people and Rock Bottom Ranch and the early Wood orchard people, food trucks, people, it's almost a 4,200 square foot space. It's a big space. And so we were really hoping to just enhance vitality by diversity there and have, you know, maybe Butch is the anchor business and then others would help to enhance each other.
So it sounds like you did your job in a beautiful, wonderful way. We just need to hear back from these other organizations as to whether or not we can go with it as it is or not. Okay, was there a motion?
Herschel, is it okay?
Oh, well, I mean, this is our downtown committee that we formed.
You're absolutely right, Laura. Is that all you have to say? I don't want to cut you off.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
In that case,
good.
I move that we approve resolution number 22, series of 2015, authorizing businesses to vend on the Marino Park property.
Second.
Further discussion?
What's
sir.
the timeline for Sand District, and how do you see all this unfolding? Is it a couple weeks? Is it next meeting? Is it a month?
Well, we're on the agenda for the Sand District June 10th.
Tentatively, yes, I put this on.
And that's the tap fee issue and that stuff.
Or, yeah, could it be waived? What would the connection be? Is a grease trap
So
required?
that's one issue. The other technical issue is environmental health and Eagle.
And what is it, the steps for getting a variance? Is that something that ultimately Eagle County approves as the state designee for enforcing the health, life, and safety codes for Eagle County? And just figure out what that variance process is so that we can direct Butch as to what to do next.
Okay. Is that staff or commissioner level stuff?
What?
Is that a staff decision?
Staff.
Staff? Okay, so hopefully we can know sooner than later.
We'd really like to know sooner than later, and this issue just came up in the last couple of weeks. So as the BDBA, we would have liked to have been working on it earlier, but, you know, the summer's looming
Right.
near, so.
We don't have a say, we're all in a waiting mode to see what they tell. Then we can do something or not. Okay, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks.
Thank you all.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Laura,
Laura.
for coming down.
Something about the red,
A resolution of the town is the next, it's resolution 23, 2015, a resolution of the town adopting the municipal water efficiency plan. Boyd,
Yes, ma'am.
talk to us.
What this is basically is, Lewis Myers came and presented the state plan, and then Mark Fuller came in and
And
kind
you
of,
talked for a really long time, remember?
Yeah.
Okay.
and Mark, everybody remembers that. And then Mark came in and talked about the regional plan, and this is just kind of going a little bit, drilling down a little bit more to a municipal platform. And it's basically the same plan, saying that we're going to work together on our water efficiencies, practicing what we preach type situation, do community education with, like the landscapers and stuff. It's just another layer in the water conservation.
So it's the same plan? Because
Basically.
there's really nothing in here
Yes, ma'am.
that's different, okay.
And the water, Colorado Water Conservation Board is, right now it's voluntary, but they're getting some legal traction where this is going to be, a municipality has to, do this.
Right.
And so I think it would be a good idea if we went with the municipal layer of it.
Sounds good. Questions, comments for, yes?
Yeah, I got an email from Mark suggesting that he was hoping that this resolution would go around to the other municipalities in the valley before we just approved it, to make sure that everybody was kind of thinking along the same lines. So I don't know if you've had any conversations with Carbondale or Glenwood, but we talked about this at the Root Eye Retreat, and we talked about it again recently. And the other thing with the CWCB is, just a heads up, they did sell water to the Ute Water District that will be released in the frying pan. They're supposed to manage it. We don't know what that is. It's a 1-year lease, and whether or not it'll get renewed. We got absolutely no traction in Sterling when there was a meeting there the other day, or any influence at all from Root Eye to make any changes that we suggested. So I'm okay with going forward with this, but if in fact we pursue it further and we meet with the towns Mark's talked about, Mark's putting together a valley-wide water seminar later on in the summer where there's a lot of information in this thing, and I don't even want to try to remember all of it, but it's really something we need to pay attention to. So, of course, with all this rain, it looks like the drought's over, but we'll see.
For today.
But anyway, that was the feedback I got, and I don't know if anybody else saw that or not, but he was hoping this was kind of a draft of a proposed resolution.
So in talking with Mark this morning, this is the municipal one. The one he's talking about is the regional one. And he's gonna be here June 9th to talk about sort of that regional plan
Okay,
that we would also adopt, which would go on top of our municipal plan.
okay.
Anybody else?
I move approval.
Thank you. Is there
Second.
further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Boyd.
See, you were so convincing.
Yeah,
Practice on.
you almost had some tears there for a minute. Okay, item 7C is resolution number 24, 2015. A resolution of the town approving an IGA with the Basalt Sand District related to the Basalt Avenue underpass and sewer collector. Mr. Scanlon.
There is a sewer line that will run underneath the underpass that we are designing and constructing. And this is the intergovernmental agreement that identifies what those improvements will be that we will make to their sanitary sewer line. And then it talks about future damages and what could be contemplated in terms of damages as it relates to it. The line is actually 4 feet under where we're constructing. So we think the prescribed improvements, which were approved by Olson Engineering, which is the firm representing the sand district, should be satisfactory. And in a sense, Olson will come out and bless the work after we get done. And then our engineers have to seal the as-built to approve, to validate that that's what actually got built. So this is just so that we don't damage their utility.
And it is an IGA or no?
Yes.
Okay.
Question on, it says in here that we'll pay for their consultants to come out.
Mhm.
Isn't this an improvement to the sewer line?
Well, they would argue that there's no need for this had it been for our project.
Yeah.
What's the warranty period? We can't go forever here. On item 5, it says any damage by frost heave, we gotta pay for. We gotta end it somewhere. I mean, we can't go on in perpetuity, I don't think.
Well, why don't, if you pass the resolution, let Tom and I work with the sand district and see if we can get them to put a end date.
Like 5 years or something.
I mean, it's not unusual if you get, for example, an easement from somebody to build an improvement across their property, you're responsible for it forever.
Not what goes in the easement, you're not.
Yeah, well, it could be, I mean,
If you put
if
something
you
in
put
the
something
easement,
over top of it, yeah,
you're
you're,
gonna be
Well,
responsible
yeah,
for
I
it forever.
understand that, but a
Yeah.
pipe under the ground, no, I'm not responsible.
Well, it's a question of causation if we cause it. I mean, we can ask for.
Frost
amendment,
heave,
Huh?
we're not causing frost heave.
No, if we cause a problem, they're saying we're responsible for it.
That's not
So
what,
why that should ever end, I don't know.
that's not what it
So you guys
says.
are gonna look at this
I
language?
think that is what it says, isn't it?
If we cause the problem, that's not what it says, Tom.
Well, it says it in so many words, doesn't it?
It says if a frost heave or settlement, the frost heave resulting from the project.
How does a project cause frosting? Okay, I don't wanna go down this road, but you guys are, you are going to make sure we're good.
can I ask?
Right.
one more?
Yes,
Well,
I mean, in a typical situation, if you put a structure on top of an easement,
Yeah, you have to tear
you have to tear the structure out to get to the repair, so if that's what it says, that would be
That's
what
not
I've
what it
experienced.
that's a different problem.
That is, so is that worth talking to him about, or? 'Cause you
I just
kinda-
don't wanna go 10 years from now, something happens to the line and we gotta pay for it, I don't think so.
Well, whether it's in here or not, if they say we caused the problem, then we're gonna have that argument.
It doesn't say that though.
okay, what is the specific,
Yeah, you need to
Question
tell
or
me what.
issue?
the
It
problem
says
Yeah.
any damage to the BSD infrastructure in the future caused by frost heave or settlement resulting from the project.
Resulting from the project. That means we caused it.
That could go on forever is what I'm saying.
Of course.
Well, I don't think that's right.
Well, then you don't approve it.
Okay?
We would have the contractor would be liable for it as well, right? I mean,
2 years.
whoever installed it. So they only get a 2-year warranty, then we're stuck with it forever. That doesn't seem fair.
No, the contractor's warranty would expire over a period of years, I think, because
Right.
outside limit is 6 years.
Is this the normal language, or is there something that can be changed about this?
It needs to be their responsibility in some point in time.
So it should have an end date.
Yes.
Well, I mean, all due respect, Mark, if, the key is that it's something that results from the project that causes their loss, right?
How are you gonna prove it?
Now, well, how are they gonna prove that we were the cause?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, but that's a different question.
Okay. If you're
Okay.
comfortable with it, then I'm comfortable
I mean-
with it, yes.
So what we are passing is not, are we actually saying sign this as is in this resolution?
As far as I'm concerned, you are, and if there's something you wanna change, then change it.
Okay, does anybody want us to pull this from the agenda and have staff and legal look at it before we?
I've looked at it.
Okay. Okay, we're done with this, right?
I move approval. Second.
Is there further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Thank you. Okay,
It's amazing how
resolution 25, a resolution of the town directing town staff to enter into a contract for a comprehensive sign program for parks, open space, and trails. Now, this is a fun one, right?
This should be a fun
Right.
one. This is a post-project. We've been very anxious to move ahead with the comprehensive sign program. This is kind of coming up with all the park signs that are coming up because of the river, to coordinate those, coordinating with the efforts of the Chamber Sign Committee. There's some park signs that really need to be replaced, and we haven't wanted to invest the money doing that until we had this. They sent out a request for proposals, and Terrain was ultimately the one that they recommended approval of, and they're excited to work with Terrain, so we're recommending approval.
And this is so long overdue. I mean, because I've been on the Mid-Valley Trails Committee for obviously 100 years, but a very long time, and there's a lot of issues with signage and lack of signage all over the place. Yeah, Gary?
My biggest concern is trying to coordinate with other jurisdictions on their signage, because last time that wasn't, and you know, you have the big circles on the Rio Grande that don't really match other signage, so people get confused. So that would be something we need to see in this. You know, the parks thing is town, but when you start sending people towards trails and the signs are so different, radically different, you don't really know that you actually hit that trail because it changes so dramatically.
Yeah, I agree.
And so, like in the Upper Valley, we've been, like in my Pickens County open space side, we've been working with Town of Snowmass Village and the City of Aspen to have, you know, there's differences, but they're similar to get people to where they're going. So, but yeah, so I was looking at some of their stuff, and you know, it all looks cool concepts, but hopefully we'll be able to coordinate.
Can I,
Yeah.
is there such a thing as for every one new one, you get rid of 3 old ones? Can we avoid the sign pollution that's gone rampant, in my opinion? I mean, after so many signs, people don't look at them anymore. And just as I go up and down 2 Rivers or any of these streets, it's sort of like, oh, okay, and half
That's
of
the
them
goal of
don't
the
make any
sign.
sense. That's what I'm asking.
I mean,
Is that
that's the goal of that sign
Is to
plan.
reduce the messy vitality in our signage program?
Okay, so keep in mind, this is park signs, so we're not gonna solve overall problems.
Okay, so
but
you're
yeah.
just gonna deal with town and Basalt Park signs?
This particular contract for the 13.5 is park signs.
Okay.
So, but that comment about cleaning them up, we're having a kickoff meeting tomorrow, and we'll take the comments under advisement. And we may need to, in the future, to do an additional service to do the coordination in the future, because this particular portion of the contract is for a specific task that'll end in July. We can start the coordination with Pitkin County and see how far we can go with it.
Awesome. Dr. Herschel Ross.
Budget implications, is this out of post money? Or
Yes.
is this in our budget, or
This
is
is-
it a new
this-
special thing, or what?
This is out of the post budget.
Out of post money?
Yeah.
I don't mind spending other people's money.
Sure, Mark.
You sound like Groucho Marx, don't you do your money?
I know. And the duck will come down.
He's good. Anybody else, or is there a so-called motion?
I move that we pass resolution number 25, series 215, resolution of Town Council of Town of Basalt, Colorado, directing town staff to enter into contract for a comprehensive sign program for parks, open space, and trails.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks, guys. Okay, resolution 26, resolution of the town directing town staff to enter into a contract for the update to the Two Rivers Road Greenway Master Plan.
Okay, so all three of these contracts that we're kind of doing in a row have something to do with our town planning exercise. The last one because we're doing river park signs. This one because it's one of our items on our table 1 is to reactivate the Two Rivers Greenway Master Plan. And remember, this one is one of our top priorities of 2014. So this is what this effort does. And for those of you who aren't familiar, without going into a lot of detail, the original plan started at Midland Avenue, and then it ended at the Willets Lane light, and it had different character areas. And this plan, we've expanded the scope. We also are kind of including the intersection at Cottonwood Drive and the school, and how the Basalt Avenue Bridge comes over, because this is repeatedly a P&Z, a Safe Routes to School. It's coming up in a number of different planning exercises that we need to make that parkway kind of continue off the bridge and make it safe for the kids to get to the school. And then it also includes over by where the proposed kayak park is and what the roadway configuration is on that plan. So we asked for a proposal from Loris because they did a really good job for us a few years back in terms of what they did for us in terms of the public process and the plan. And we saw the amount of money that was involved with the plan, which is about a little over $73,000. So we talked to Loris because one of the reasons that the price is high is because we have a lot of options out there for different elements of the plan. So as you know, for the Two Rivers portion, the original segment, there's ideas about making that a one-way and making the trail a larger trail using the same road platform. There's an idea that that one-way would change whether it was morning or evening, what direction it went. And there's the idea of removing Two Rivers Road between Midland Avenue and Midland Spur. And all of those, when you do a proposal and you're trying to look at what it really costs to fully analyze everything, is a big amount of money. So what we asked Loris to do is, okay, what made sense after talking to them was, let's take the plan through a public process. Let's do that piece of it and then kind of regroup about what we needed to do, because I think they would get a better handle on what it really is going to take to look at some of those things if we need to go forward with them, and if something isn't feasible, then we wouldn't be moving forward. We don't need to do that part. One other quick thing, I'll just wrap up, Mark, and then you can ask a question. So that's the 14,000. That's task 1 and 2. That takes you through the public process and the report. There's another $4,000 that we included in traffic counts. So actually, Boyd is going to do some traffic counts for us tomorrow, because we're trying to get while school is. It's not ideal because construction's going on, but that's what the other $4,000 is for extra traffic counts and intersection, more sophisticated things than we can do in-house. So.
Mark?
So, no competitive bids, you're
No.
comfortable with their prices?
Yeah.
That's all I have.
And at some point, I mean, I don't know whether it's, I guess it's somewhere in the public process, could we see what this looks like? Because, I mean, there are so many options in here, it made my eyes cross, trying to figure out, what would this look like? What would the implication to traffic be? What are the safety improvements? I mean, something.
I think that's the job of a consultant, to make it as
Okay.
easy as to be understood as possible. You may not get to that detail on all the safety stuff on that initial stuff, Jackie, but the idea is to make it so that they could understand what they're weighing in on.
Right. Other district.
If we figured out, CDOT had a lot of issues with how their right of way that we annexed and took over was used in terms of parking and structures and all that stuff. And that was kind of stopping us in midstream, you know, as far as going out by the firehouse in that direction. Because they didn't want, I don't know if they wanted to maintain that right of way at 100 feet or 200 feet or whatever it is. And we wanted to neck it down and do parking and, you know, traffic calming, all the things you're talking about. And there was some discussion in the past about whether or not we'd be able to do that.
And that's really I can't reach high enough, but that's up there where you do legal constraints, because there are things that we need to work through with that. You're exactly right.
So
Now, some of the things we have resolved because we actually took the road right away, but there are
Right.
some restrictions in that approval, so.
Well, would
There's-
that be a good thing to include in this initial, before people get completely carried away in the public process and then they find out that some of the visions that they have may not be what work? Set a little bit of a parameter, or at least identify them. And, you know, we need to know if there are constraints, that we need to know that going in, I think.
But I'll give you the CDOT answer, having played with it for the last 6 months.
I don't think we want that to
CDOT answers, what are you, show me what you're
So,
going
okay.
to do,
right?
so that I can tell you what you're,
Why do they still have a say-so?
because when they granted the road to the town, they had restrictions on its use. And then anything that would have been written down over time related to right-of-way easements, they probably conditioned as a part of the use.
So, you know, it wasn't like we took it over and could do whatever we wanted.
Right.
It was, we took it over and we got to plow it.
Yeah.
But didn't
Pay
we,
it and stuff.
at one time, wasn't it one way? I
No.
don't remember a time when
Two
it was.
Rivers?
Yeah.
Not when I was with
It was when I wasn't driving. probably.
Well,
it. Let's,
Yeah.
okay, Rob, then Bernie.
Okay,
You're Rob.
I'm Rob.
Bernie.
Some pictures here off the computer just of some really interesting creative stairways people built. And I use that as an example as just being creative and not always spending a lot of money. You can make something that's really cool. And so as we're having the discussion on the Two Rivers Road Greenway and what to do in the park space, etc., I'm just urging you to be creative and fanciful and whimsical and different from what everybody else is doing. And in my absence, I hope that you'll keep that in mind.
In your absence, are you
Next
passing on? Okay. Bernie.
do we already know whether a one-way road or no road at all is even an option under the CDOT constraints?
Yes, but here's the caveat. If you do it, you bollard it, and should there be any type of accident on 82, you have to be able to remove it so they can function as a two-way street.
Evacuate the town and back doors.
That's like reversible.
Yeah, it's sort of like thinking Lower River Road, having it available to 82 if there's an accident, kind of in Old Snowmass Canyon, so the same idea. If you bollard it and you keep it active, and it can be used, it's fine.
You gotta keep it paved and
Mm-hmm.
an active road,
Right.
actively usable as a road.
Right.
So some portable planters you might put in, but you can't put any permanent.
Well, you can put islands in the road if you wanted to break it up
Uh-huh.
to make it look more attractive. But as long as it can still function, as a road in two directions.
I hope the bollarding is more successful than what was done with the Tinker Toys in Willits.
Oh, boy. Okay.
Yes, it would be. Because you'd actually design up to it for the path, and the bollards would actually be at an angle.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
I know
It's going to be funky.
Too
Kinda
fun.
like one of these.
Okay,
So
Make a motion
moved.
to approve.
Second.
further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Resolution 27, resolution of the town directing town staff to enter into a contract for the update to the existing 2007 master plan. Susan?
Okay, this one also is related to our town planning effort. Okay, so our last master plan was adopted in 2007. It was based on 2005 data and a 2005 community survey. And as everyone knows right now, we're well involved in our town planning effort. What I put in here, what I explained in here is that one of the activities in our table 1 was to amend the master plan to reflect the results of our town planning effort. And Tim's already been working, this is Tim Malloy from TG Malloy Consulting. Tim's been working on that. We have a draft text, a map, some typology that we presented to the P&Z at the last meeting that we'll be presenting at the public hearing that's next Tuesday. So that's going on currently, and we're planning on a short-term amendment to incorporate our town planning results into the master plan. Because that's your key kind of legal document that you're reviewing land use proposals against. And your current plan, as many people have kind of showed you in your public hearings, shows development all across in the developable portion of the CDC parcel. So what this effort is to make progress on the master plan update during 2007. And the work that's described that would be done in 2015 is mostly data and analysis and updating the existing maps and helping us formulate the questions and working with ETC on the community survey that we contracted for last year. We did the first part of it, but we kind of set aside the second part just because of workload. So if you have any questions, I brought Tim Malloy here to answer the questions that we have. This would come out of the planning department budget, which has funds budgeted for this.
I missed what role our town planning input is going to have on this master plan.
Well, what I didn't explain, because I did the first part of it, but didn't have the second part. Tim, do you want to take a stab at answering that?
I'll tell you, my concern is I didn't vote for any of the 3 options because I didn't like any of the 3 options, and I don't want to be tied to them into perpetuity.
Okay, so
It's not binding, that's phrase.
Well,
Why you make warrants?
the work that we're doing right now on an amendment to the current 2007 master plan having solely to do with the R-Town planning process is fairly straightforward. It incorporates the DAC report, and it reflects the change to the development pattern, particularly for the old kind of work site, to reflect the open space and this review corridor that the town council recommended in resolution 19. And then it has some additional sort of policies and a description of how the master plan update, the one solely related to the R-Town project, should be used in conjunction with the existing master plan policies. So that's one piece.
And just for clarification, it doesn't include those 3 options that you don't like.
And
What it includes right now is it includes the doc map that they had
Okay.
as amended by the P&Z and then amended by you. So what
So is
it
that correct?
shows
Okay.
is it shows it's reflecting that
Great.
space. So
The second part, of course, is that when we amend the master plan more comprehensively, which is the contract that's before you tonight, we'll have a discussion about what
what is working, about how we've dealt with the Our Town process. Has anything come up since we adopted this recent Our Town master plan update? Is there any more conversation that needs to be had? If not, then we'll have probably a key parcels discussion about it, and the formal future land use map will be amended to reflect that new land use pattern. It probably won't be a big deal in that context because we'll have already addressed it in this smaller Our Town planning update.
And the P and Z kind of had some kind of parking lot issues that they wanted to kind of address more fully, but they kind of recognized the need, like, we need to put something on the books, we need to amend the master plan to do the Our Town, but there's some things that we probably need to spend a little bit more time on, for example, parking in the downtown area that we just can't solve in this phase this
And
summer.
just also remind me, master planning is planning commission turf, right? Or-
It's both turfs, really.
Okay.
Both of the amendment that you're going to see for the Our Town planning effort and the master plan itself are approved by the planning commission, and they're also approved by the town council.
Okay, that was
Okay,
my-
yes.
It's been a while.
No, it's a charter requirement it's a state law requirement that gives it to the planning commission, and it's a town charter requirement that gives it to the town council. This table kind of gave some of the initial work back, the whole thing of giving work back, gave some of the initial work, the heavy lifting piece back to the P and Z. But you'll see it. And the first, our public hearing scheduled for next week.
Gary.
So it seems like we're going through with the full master plan update. So, the reality is yes, this is a $31,000 deal, but it's pretty clear that this is a much bigger deal because I can't imagine us stopping on December 31st and not continuing. So I don't understand why we're not contracting the whole thing.
Budget,
Because-
we need budget money from next year.
Okay. I mean,
Is that
but
the
it's
deal?
just, but it just, I don't, it's just kind of it's just a weird issue to we're going to go forward. If we vote for it tonight, we're really gonna stop mid-course to reconsider it, so, anyway.
Only if you don't have the money, I guess,
Yeah, it'd be fine. Looks
Okay,
like-
let's see. Bernie and Rick, did you have anything?
Well, maybe this will speak to Rob a little bit, his concern, and that is that since I was on the planning commission that did the 2-7 master plan and have been up until I became commissioner, because P and Z recommends it and that's their duty given them by the state, does not mean that the council has to adopt it as is or in its entirety. That's up to the council how much to accept or amend. And I would just say that my feeling was I didn't find that much of use in not in the process as much as in the results of the Our Town planning process, which was a chaotic mishmash to me, but that was part of the process, was designed to bring out that vitality and many different views, but I would give great credence to the DAC report and the recommendations they made in the final master plan.
Yeah, Tim, I think we've looked across the table here at each other on these master plan processes for a long time. And, I think it's great that we're returning kind of to the grow from the inside out approach to master planning the town. So I think the first step of really cementing as best we can what goes on in the immediate 1,500-foot radius from town hall would be great. Based on your history and your experience in watching this evolve, where are the opportunities for us? We had a meeting today with Eagle and Pitkin, and we talked about what's hot. Where's a site for daycare right now that's available, that's hot, that could be implemented. As you start to look at master plan priorities, can you, in 2007, I remember you mentioned key parcels. We identified several key parcels in 2004's update that were targeted to receive affordable housing. And in 2007, that was taken out of the language in the master plan. And I think what I'm hearing is we'd like to see that come back into play so that there's some direction given to anybody that is gonna come in here and do some land use applications, that they at least have a heads up. So I see that as an opportunity for us to get, it's been 8 years since that plan was adopted, which is a few more than I think is normal. So I was just gonna ask you what you see as opportunities for Basalt as we start to relate with Pickett and Eagle, and how that 3-mile plan, the urban growth boundary, you don't have to answer it right now, but those are the things that I'm interested in seeing. You know, we tweaked it, we fooled around with the UGB to try to control land use outside our jurisdiction, and then it's gonna go ahead anyway. So, you know, how do we put teeth in there that communicate to the other jurisdictions that we're serious about what we're doing?
So let me answer this in 2 parts. One is, the opportunities, I think really, we have a unique opportunity in Basalt to understand from where we come and to where we're going. Because in 1999, when we did the master plan and established your background data, we used the same format for all of the background data that we gathered for 2007, and we're going to attempt to do that again here now. So we have, I think, a clearer picture than many communities in terms of how have the forecasts panned out. And given the economic downturn and now the recovery, what does the future look like? Do we need to pare back some of the forecasting, or where is that relative to reality? And so I think that's going to be a really helpful piece for us. We've got a lot of information now over several master plans to help us understand where we did well, where we didn't do so well, and what opportunities might present themselves as a result of what the forecasting now looks like for the future. In terms of coordinating with the other jurisdictions, somewhat inherent in how your master plan is set up, in as much as the state requires it be set up, in as much as you have a 3-mile plan, and in the current master plan and in the 99 plan, we recommend that you enter into IGAs with your surrounding jurisdictions to sort of clarify some of these things like annexation policies. And annexation policy is one of the things that we have on the sort of docket to look at this time around as well. So those are just some little clips of things that we'll be talking about through the process, but there will probably be a lot of others.
And do we have a survey other than the one specific to the river that we are using?
Well, the ETC survey, we're under contract to do the second part of the ETC survey, which was to look at the comprehensive planning issues, so it's not just the river, and then also, I don't know if the word is community satisfaction survey.
Direction finder.
Yeah, direction finder, piece of it also, but, so Tim's gonna help us with the questions.
Okay. All right. Anybody else?
One question. One of the things I saw in this was, there was things where you're saying that you're expecting to keep it a lot the same.
Right.
And then I'm hearing that we have a lot of opportunities to change. I'm just worrying that this cost doesn't take into account of looking bigger and looking really, trying to make sure that we're really on the course that the town is really laying out with everything that's going on.
Well, and I would say that's the beauty of task 2.1, which is to do a summary of your existing policies and sort of compare that with now current data, and that's that sort of piece that says, how well did we do, where did we miss, what are our opportunities for the future. Once we understand that and we get sort of feedback and direction from the Planning Commission and the Council, we'll know whether or not we're talking about something bigger than we sort of have in mind now, and I think that'll be a key point in the process.
Okay, I just wanted, that wasn't clear in the overall direction, but I like that.
Ernie.
I make a motion approving resolution of Town Council of Basalt, Colorado, directing town staff to enter into a contract for the update of the existing 207 master plan.
Second.
Further discussion?
One more. What's the timeline after December 31st going into 16 to complete the process? Just ballpark, April, May, August?
I would say Tim answered it when he says once we get done with task 2.1, we'll sort of know how big or are we on the right scope.
Okay. But a year,
Could be longer.
could be longer?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
The next item is first reading.
Political football.
First reading of ordinance 8, ordinance of the town approving a contract for the purchase of Unit 321, Riverside Plaza Lot BC condominiums located at 355 Gold Rivers Court, Judy.
This is, same building, it would be the 5th unit if you approve it. It's a 1-bedroom unit, price is $220. Currently, we have a 2-bedroom unit. In 1 week, we have 17 applications. So working through, trying to touch base with teachers first, and then kind of work through what we have identified as essential personnel. So, of course, we get staff first, and then we'll kind of work through that list. So this is a 1-bedroom, and the one that we have right now is a 2-bedroom, but this is a really popular building, and at one point the school has even inquired as to whether they could be the master leaseholder and save it until they get teachers. So I think just in light of everything that's been going on in the last month or so, it's pretty obvious that we have some issues with teachers not finding housing, and we're losing some good people. So again, price is $220. We had briefly talked about this before. We have not budgeted for the revenue side of the units that will get revenues on starting in July. So we could do a very short-term note with Alpine, spoke with them wanting about that, and fund this, and then just do a pretty short payback on it.
I love the financial stuff, how this is so, like,
Well,
buying things.
and the fact that you heard the superintendents talk about when they bring in this many teachers, we lose a third in
Yeah,
2 years. And finding housing for teachers, how difficult it is.
right.
So creating those housing opportunities.
Just a quick question, are we keeping this in the rental pool?
Yes. So this would be our 14th unit,
What was the cost of the 2-bedroom?
305. And that was the one that we did in December.
Is this the loft one, or is it a true 1-bedroom?
No, it's a true 1-bedroom. It has a nice walk-in closet, has a nice washer, dryer, stack unit that is kind of in place of where the second bedroom is in the other unit. It's got a nice little kitchen and kind of a bar that wraps around.
Is there, at some point, is there a way we could get a quick look at one of these between closing and before somebody moves in? I would love to see what they look like.
Stay tuned after second reading, we can walk over.
Yes, I agree, right then, that night.
Motion to approve.
Second.
And so,
Further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Way to move that one forward, Kittle.
Thank you.
Way to go.
And sort of a follow-up, we're working with the school district. They recognize that housing is key to getting teachers in Basalt. So anytime we make sure that they're at the top of the list, people that we notify that there's available units. And continue to do the same thing, which is why this is really a joint problem. We all have to be working on it at the same time. Can't be in isolation.
Maybe they should just like throw their land in and.
It's like it's everything else in the universe.
Oh,
Wow.
okay. Does anybody want to go into executive session? Kidding. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, staff.